it happened. The moment that experts, analysts, and policymakers had dismissed as fantasy finally arrived, shattering expectations across the globe. The one thing Washington said was impossible, the unthinkable, the scenario that haunted late-night strategy sessions, was now reality. On August 1, 2025, China's SMIC didn't just announce a new chip. They detonated a technological bomb at the heart of America's dominance. The world watched as headlines flashed, and the balance of power began to tilt. For years, the US used its grip on semiconductor tech to keep China in check, leveraging its technological edge as a tool of both diplomacy and control. The message was clear: you will not advance without our permission. Every embargo, every restriction was meant to reinforce that message. But this wasn't a small step. It was a seismic shift, a move that would echo through boardrooms and governments worldwide. It was a giant, defiant leap. A statement that China would no longer play by someone else's rules. SMIC, supposedly crippled by sanctions, revealed a chip that didn't just catch up, it changed the game. It was a breakthrough that no one outside China saw coming. They unveiled a radical new architecture, something US and European labs still considered theoretical. Years of research, condensed into a single stunning achievement. The global tech landscape flipped overnight, markets trembled, and the world's attention snapped to the east. The walls of sanctions built to contain China were breached spectacularly. The old barriers, once thought impenetrable, now lay in ruins. Imagine the panic in Apple, Intel, and the Pentagon. Years of assumed dominance gone in a flash. The shockwaves rippled through every level of the tech world. SMIC didn't just survive, it innovated in secret and emerged with a chip that could change everything. Their perseverance and ingenuity rewrote the rules of the game. The implications go far beyond faster phones. This is about AI, military tech, economic power, and global influence. The ripple effects will touch every industry, every nation. For the first time in decades, a non-Western power has built a world-class chip on its own terms. The technological center of gravity has shifted. This isn't just about silicon and transistors, it's about power, defiance, and a new world order. The future is being rewritten, 1 nanometer at a time. The game has changed, and the West is only now realizing it's no longer the only one making the rules. The realization is dawning that the old playbook no longer applies. The world of technology will never be the same. A new era has begun, and its first shot has already been fired. To truly grasp the shockwaves that rippled through the tech world, you first need to understand the depth of America's grip on the global chip industry. The US didn't just design the world's best chips, it built and controlled the entire ecosystem, from the drawing board to the factory floor. The most critical design software came from American firms, and even the most advanced manufacturing tools, like ASML's EUV machines, were powered by US technology and patents. This was the ultimate choke point. Deny China access to these tools and you could freeze its technological progress almost overnight. Sanctions and strict export controls zeroed in on SMIC, China's leading chipmaker, aiming to lock the country out of the most advanced tech on the planet. The infamous entity list became a blacklist. Any company using US tech, no matter where they were in the world, couldn't work with SMIC without rare, hard-to-get approval. It was a technological blockade, carefully designed to be inescapable and airtight. The world was put on notice. If you want to use our tools, you play by our rules. And those rules meant China would be left behind. Experts predicted China's chip industry would fall at least a decade behind, unable to break through the critical 7-nanometer barrier that defines cutting-edge chips. The sanctions were hailed in the West as a masterstroke of industrial warfare, a move that would secure American dominance for years. The plan was clear: force China into dependence, hobble its tech giants, and put a ceiling on its military modernization. The underlying assumption was simple: China could only copy, never truly innovate or leap ahead. For a while it looked like the plan was working. SMIC was struggling, production lines sat idle, and China's ambitions seemed stalled. But beneath the surface, away from the headlines, a different plan was quietly taking shape, one that would soon catch the world off guard. The West, confident in its strategy, never saw what was coming next. Facing a technological dead end, SMIC went dark. The company, once vocal about its ambitions, suddenly became a black box, its activities shrouded in secrecy and speculation. Public statements vanished, executives disappeared from the spotlight, and behind closed doors, a radical new strategy took shape. The silence was deafening, fueling rumors and uncertainty across the industry. Backed by a torrent of state funding, SMIC became a national mission. The Chinese government poured resources into the company, transforming it from a private enterprise into a symbol of national resilience and technological ambition. First, they de-Americanized their supply chain, scouring the globe for non-US tools, hiring retired engineers with decades of experience, and building a parallel sanction-proof ecosystem. Every component, every process was scrutinized for vulnerabilities. Reinventing the wheel, they built a fortress, not just a factory. Security was tightened, and the facility became a stronghold, designed to withstand both economic and technological sieges. Then, they changed the game. If they couldn't win at shrinking transistors, they'd make existing ones smarter. SMIC shifted its focus from brute force miniaturization to clever engineering and optimization. SMIC's secret labs, in partnership with top Chinese universities, focused on radical innovation in chip architecture and materials. New ideas flourished in these hidden spaces, where failure was seen as a step toward breakthrough. While the world watched SMIC struggle with old tech, its best minds were working on something entirely new. Late nights and relentless experimentation became the norm as teams pushed the boundaries of what was possible. They ran simulations, tested exotic materials, and developed new chip packaging. Every experiment brought them closer to a solution that defied conventional wisdom. Instead of building a better American chip, they built a different kind of chip, one that didn't need forbidden tools. This new approach allowed SMIC to sidestep the barriers that had once seemed insurmountable. It was a massive gamble, a bet against the industry's history. The risks were enormous, but so were the potential rewards. On August 1st, the world saw that gamble pay off. News broke, and the industry was stunned by SMIC's unexpected leap forward. SMIC had leapfrogged the West, not by following but by inventing. The rules had changed, and a new era in global technology had begun. SMIC's breakthrough wasn't just another chip, it was a paradigm shift. They called it the Hybrid Quantum Classical Architecture, or HQCA. For decades, chips relied on classical computing, ones and zeros. The West chased pure quantum computing, but it's still years away. SMIC found a shortcut, a hybrid chip using classical transistors for most functions, with embedded quantum enhancement cores. These cores don't do full quantum computing, but use quantum tunneling for specific tasks at incredible speed. It's like a car with a rocket booster, classical power, quantum bursts. This sidestepped the need for ever smaller transistors, making each switch smarter, not just smaller. Performance rivaled the best Western chips without EUV machines. SMIC didn't break physics, they found a loophole. The HQCA is especially powerful for AI and data analysis, powering China's next-gen supercomputers and military tech. The blockade meant to keep China out of the future forced it to invent a new one. How did SMIC pull this off under global scrutiny? First, massive state investment. Hundreds of billions shielded SMIC from market pressures. This let them build top research labs and attract elite talent. Next, they focused on materials science and chip packaging, improving conductivity and heat management. The real secret: advanced chiplet packaging, smaller specialized chiplets connected into a single processor. Quantum cores were built as separate chiplets, then integrated with classical ones. This modular approach bypassed the need for a single magical EUV machine. SMIC perfected heterogeneous integration out of necessity. Finally, they fostered a unique research culture, pairing new grads with veteran engineers, blending discipline with creative freedom. Free from Western best practices, they experimented, failed, and tried again, all in secret. The result: a miracle born from constraint. The HQCA chips announcement sent shockwaves worldwide. In Washington, disbelief, panic, and finger-pointing. The strategy to maintain supremacy was obsolete overnight. Crisis meetings erupted. The question shifted from contain China to catch up. In Beijing's celebration, state media hailed the breakthrough as proof of China's self-reliance. The government launched a $1 trillion fund to mass-produce HQCA chips and fuel further research. Markets reacted instantly. US chip stocks plunged, Chinese tech stocks soared, the industry's risk profile changed overnight. Western firms faced an uncertain future, alliances shifted. Nations once caught between the US and China now saw a new option. China could offer a viable, cheaper alternative for digital infrastructure. Delegations from developing countries began planning trips to Beijing, not Washington. The geopolitical tectonic plates were shifting. The world had just become a lot more complicated. SMIC's breakthrough ends an era. For decades, the West's chip monopoly meant economic and geopolitical power. That world is gone. The consequences are profound. The global economic landscape shifts. Western pricing power erodes and competition intensifies. Tech sanctions lose their bite. SMIC proves superiority isn't permanent. Other nations will now pursue their own tech independence, weakening the American-led order. The flow of innovation is reversing. China is now a source of new paradigms. Western companies and governments must pay attention to Chinese research, not just as products, but as ideas. The student has become the master. The balance of power and technology has shifted. A competitive, non-Western chip won't unite the world, it will divide it. Two tech spheres are emerging, one led by the US, the other by China. This is the new tech Cold War, fought with silicon, patents, and standards. Devices and networks may soon be incompatible across the divide. Nations and companies will have to choose sides, shaping security, privacy, and economic alignment. The dream of a single global tech platform is over. The race is on to define the planet's technological operating system. SMIC's HQCA chip is this generation's Sputnik moment. Like the Soviet satellite, it shattered assumptions and kicked off a new race. America's attempt to blockade China became the incubator for radical innovation. The lesson: you can't contain knowledge, and a determined nation can overcome any barrier. The urgent question: will the West panic or rise to the challenge? The era of comfortable assumptions is over. The race for the future has begun again. The rise of a new tech power changes everything, not just for companies but for the very model of innovation. The silicon has been thrown, the patterns are only just beginning to form.